Hello, I'm Dave Moore with PITC, and today we're going to be going over the testing procedure for a DCVA. The DCVA we're going to be testing today is a 3/4 inch Apollo DCLF4A. The first thing we do when we test the device is we flush and clear our test cocks of any debris so that we don't damage our gauge. Once we've flushed our test cocks, we'll take our high hose and connect it to test cock 2. The first test we do on a DCVA is check our check 1 in forward pressure. This is giving our spring tension across check 1. So first we're going to pressurize and bleed our gauge. Once our gauge is pressurized and bled, we're going to shut off isolation valve 1, and we're going to open up test cock number 3. We need to maintain a spring tension of above 1 psi for 2 minutes. Our gauge needs to hold constant above 1 psi for 2 minutes. Our gauge is holding at 2.1 psi. As long as it holds constant for 2 minutes, this would be a pass. We're then going to shut off our test cocks and move on to the next part of this test. I'm going to remove our high hose from test cock 2 and move our high hose to test cock number 3. We're then going to re-establish pressure in our device. And pressurize and bleed our gauge. Once we've pressurized and bled our gauge, we're going to shut off control valve 1 and open up test cock number 4. Here we're testing our spring pressure across check 2. Again, we need to hold above 1 psi for 2 minutes. If our test holds above 1 psi for 2 minutes, we move on to opening up test cock number 2. And now we're checking check 1 with reverse pressure. Again, we need to hold constant for 2 minutes. And if so, we're moving on to the next portion of our test. We're then going to close our test cocks, remove our high hose from test cock number 3, and place it onto test cock number 4. We're going to re-establish pressure in our device, and we're going to re-establish pressure in our gauge and bleed the air out. Once we've pressurized and bled our gauge, we're going to close isolation valve 1. And the last check that we do on our DCVA is checking our check 2 in reverse flow. So we're going to open up test cock number 3. And we're going to bleed our pressure to a readable level. Again, we need to hold in one constant location for 2 minutes. As long as we hold steady for 2 minutes, that's going to be a pass. So we're going to shut off our test cock number 4 and test cock number 3, remove our high hose from our device, put our device back into service.